All over social media, people are getting enraged about one main thing: number manipulation. You see and hear and read about it all the time, how numbers of different things are being manipulated so that we're being given misinformation. Well, I have always looked at numbers and I've always recognized number manipulation. Why? Because I am a fan of 90s hip hop. If you were a fan of 90s to 2000 era hip hop, you always heard, "I just went platinum. This album went platinum." It was a bragging right to have sold 1 million copies of your album. Going platinum for a music artist is a big deal, but the way to go platinum has changed throughout the history of the music industry. Before SoundScan was introduced, all you had to do was ship 1 million albums, which meant that your artist that you were representing had to be popular enough to potentially sell 1 million albums. And record stores are like, okay, I believe we are going to sell out of this album, so they shipped 1 million and you got a platinum certificate for that. Now, some record companies would manipulate the system by just shipping 1 million albums on their own dime so that their artists would hit the #1 on the Billboard charts as a platinum selling artist. So what happened was you ended up with a lot of first time artists that would seem like they were hitting the charts huge. How are they so popular? And you would feel a fear of missing out. Like, I don't know about them. Obviously they're great. They sold 1 million copies. No, they shipped 1 million copies. So you would go buy the album, and in turn that would generate the record sales and prove the industry right. See, we were right. They were popular the whole time. They sold all the copies that we shipped. It was a great PR move for the artist, the music company, the record stores. But then in the 90s, something got introduced that threw a wrench into those plans. SoundScan. SoundScan was a way to actually track album sales. So now when albums got shipped, it was the actual cell number that they would count in order for it to reach a platinum certificate. So now recording artists and music companies had to actually prove that this artist was popular. But they learned how to manipulate that system too. To make an artist seem more popular, you needed more album sales. So you know what they did? They had an artist record a double album. Double albums, although it is technically one project, resulted in 2 sales because there were 2 albums in there. So if an artist sold 500,000 copies as a double album, they would get a platinum certificate for 1 million sales. And you saw this all the time in hip hop. Remember when double albums just kept coming one right after the other after the other? They even did this with box sets. Let's say an artist had 10 CDs that they put into a box set. If they sold 1 million copies, they would get a diamond certificate. It would be 10 million sold because each album in that box set would be counted as a sale. There was a plus side to that for a lot of artists, because if you were on an album that sold 1 million copies, you would get a platinum certificate too. So like when the song Gangsta's Paradise came out and it was only available on Dangerous Minds soundtrack, every artist on that rap album compilation got a platinum certificate. They got paid like they also sold 1 million copies. But I guarantee you right now, most of you don't even know what the other songs on that album was. Now, none of this is bad. It is all helping artists out to help artists out. Everybody got a raise, everybody looked good, and that's good for the artist who is actually trying to just put themselves out there. It gave them a boost, it made them important, and that's nice. It did hurt when they tried to go do their own concerts and nobody would show up. It would be like, yeah, sorry man, you weren't the most popular artist on that album. Although you are a platinum selling artist, everybody was hoping that Coolio would make an appearance. But you gotta respect any artist that actually went platinum on one album, because they actually sold 1 million copies. They didn't just ship 1 million copies, they sold 1 million copies. And that's kind of how the music industry has been working for a long time, until digital streaming. And then a new rule was introduced. Because of digital streaming, albums are not getting bought anymore. And this was freaking the music industry out because they couldn't manipulate the numbers. They had to find a new way. And they finally found a way. All it takes is 1,500 streams for an artist to have technically sold an album. And that could be 1,500 streams on one song. That would count as the whole album sold. The funny thing about this is that when albums were getting streamed, a lot of comedy albums were starting to hit the charts because you had to listen to the whole album in order to enjoy it. So popular comics were getting higher up on the charts because their fans were listening to the whole thing, whereas music artists, their fans were just listening to one song. And on that note, I've never gotten 1,500 streams on my album. I'm waiting for that album sale. But then the music industry found a way to manipulate this, and to me, it seems like the cheesiest way. Remember when Chris Brown released his first digital album with like 47 tracks? Well, he did that on purpose. He cut each song in half as a track so that it would count as a separate stream. That's right, one song, if you played it fully, would come out to be 2 tracks, because you had to listen to 2 tracks to hear the entire one song. Which to me is a little cringe. It's like, really, you cut one song in 2 so that it seems like double the listens, but whatever, man. That's the music industry, that's entertainment. Numbers are always being manipulated. And so that's kind of how the industry is working out now, along with any album sales that are actually sold and with any streams that are actually being listened to. They add that up together and they figure out if you actually went platinum. So based on that, 1,500 streams equals an album sale. If you have a child at home who has listened to Baby Shark again and again and again, it has now gone 300 times platinum. Baby Shark is the ultimate album that has ever sold in the entire history of the universe. Because kids love repeating something over and over and over again. You've seen it, you've heard it, you've watched them watch the same show again and again and again. There's actually a little psychology behind that, the whole Blue's Clues theory, but I'm not gonna get into that. This was all about number manipulation. Maybe the next one I'll tell you about that. Or you could just go read Malcolm Gladwell's A Tipping Point to learn about the reason that Blue's Clues repeated the same episode for a week. And on that note, numbers manipulation happens. Recognize it. Stop being shocked by it. Learn how it's happening to us, and then you will be able to make better decisions, not just based on what they're telling you is the hit. And I hope that I can see maybe 1,500 views on this video, and that would equate that this video sold 1 album. But they don't pay streams like that, you know, on Instagram. So, all right, I just depressed myself. Bye.